Hi, my name is Megan. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Friday Sews. I am having a really good time filming these videos, and I'm trying out different filming locations in my apartment and camera setups and experimenting a bit, so you might see some of my background changing or the lighting change, and so I thank you for bearing with me as I learn how to do this. Today on Friday Sews, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I got up to this week and also answer some questions that some of the other Friday Sews vloggers are also going to be answering this week. So I'll start with the tag. So this tag was posted in the Sewing Vloggers Facebook group that I recently became part of, and am really enjoying the sense of community, and that's why I wanted to do this, was to be more engaged with the sewing community and find an outlet for creativity and to share and have conversations, because I really only have like one sewing buddy, and I'm pretty sure that even she has a max about how much she can listen to me ramble on about sewing and what I'm up to and the projects that I'm doing. And I want her to know, because she's probably watching, that I have unlimited capacity to listen to her, so please don't stop. But sometimes it's nice to connect with people virtually instead of in person, and especially now, the way that we live. I'm just finding it to be really fun. So anyways, so the questions are, first one is, what's your name? My name is Megan Geyer. Number 2, where are you from? I grew up in Saskatchewan in a really small town, but I have made Calgary my home for the past nearly 20 years, 19 years now. How long have you been sewing? I mentioned in a previous video that I took sewing lessons when I was about 8, so 1992, 93, 94. And this is actually the book that we used. The book that we used in the classes I took was the Simplicity Kids Can Sew method, and I think this was really popular at the time, and it's actually, you can still get a license for this. I'm sure they've updated the materials system for girls. It's a bit outdated now that it's 2021, but yeah, this is the workbook for the first one we went through, and you can see all of the things that I made. I made a bag, a denim skirt, a little blouse, pants, a nightgown, and yeah, learned a lot, and I had a really good time in sewing lessons, and I think that I ended up stopping because I got interested in other things. When you're 10 years old, you want to explore all kinds of different hobbies, and yeah, but I really enjoyed it, and if my daughter wanted to learn how to sew, I would totally sign her up for classes, because I feel like there are certain things you shouldn't teach your own kid to do. Ice skate, drive, or swim, or sew. So anyway, yeah, I had a really good time. That's when I learned. I sewed a bit in junior high and high school from time to time, and then I picked it up again about 5-6 years ago when I was looking for something else to do, and really was feeling a bit frustrated with fast fashion and clothing that didn't fit well and didn't last and looked exactly the same in all the stores. So that's why I got back into it and haven't looked back. What are your machines? So I sew on a Janome machine that my mom bought when I took these classes, and it still works really well. I'll put some pictures in. So a Janome sewing machine, and then last summer I bought myself a Burnett B48, which is a combination serger cover stitch machine, and it is in for service today, and I'm a little bit nervous. It's kind of like dropping your baby off at kindergarten for the first time, right? Like, I had to take a deep breath as I loaded it into the back of the car, and my husband is going to take it to work, and my dad, who's retired and recently vaccinated, which is super exciting. But so my dad is going to go pick it up, take it to the sewing machine store where they said they'd do a spot check, and he can wait for it, do a quick minor repair, and then bring it back. And so it will be back to me tonight, I hope. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I bought it used, the Burnett serger cover stitch. Bought it used. I had been looking for a combo machine, and I think that because I have a small space, I didn't want to have 3 sewing machines. 2 was kind of my upper max, but if I ever did have a dedicated sewing room space and I had space for 3 machines, I'd go for 3 instead of a combo, because that way I could move between the machines and instead of having to stop and convert it from serger to cover stitch and vice versa. 5. Am I self-taught or did I take formal classes? So I did take formal classes, and then since picking it back up again, I'm self-taught. So I bought some books and watched resources on YouTube and blogs, and then I did take a class a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago now, at Rick Rack, which is a fabric store here in Calgary that had recently opened, and I took a little one-night workshop on zippers, so various methods of zipper installation, which was awesome. I will admit I still haven't installed a zipper in a garment since taking that class, but feel much more equipped to do that. And I think that taking workshops or classes from professionals or formal classes are great to help you learn different methods, because every instructor has a different way of doing things, slightly different or different way of explaining things. So I would definitely recommend it if you have them available in your area. Online classes are great too, because sometimes you can just put them on and stream them in the background and learn something new and pick something up. And there's like a wealth of online classes for free on YouTube. So if you can't figure out how to do something, the odds are super good that there's somebody who's developed a YouTube on video. If you can't figure out how to do something, the odds are really good that someone has made a video and posted it, or posted about it on Facebook sewing groups. So those have been really helpful resources as I sort of figure out how to do things again. I would like to take another one of the classes at Rick Rack when it's safe to do so. So either on bodice fitting, or they were doing a jeans workshop, and I'm not interested in sewing my own jeans, but I would be interested in taking the jeans workshop, which is kind of funny, but like I don't want to do it by myself, but I would love to do it with other sewers, and I would love to do it with an instructor and learn about fitting and all of those pieces. It's just something that I think it's too fiddly for me to do at home, and I'm not sure I would have the motivation to do it. But if I had to do my homework, I would do my homework. Do you prefer to sew with knits or wovens? So most of the sewing I do is with knit fabric, and I think it's because it's satisfying and I'm comfortable with it and it's easy to fit. But I really enjoy the process of sewing with wovens, like the tactical and sensory, like the pressing, the iron and the steam, and like if you're sewing with a nice stable woven fabric, like the crispness and the material stays where it's supposed to stay, and it's gorgeous. But fitting can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. So, but I have really enjoyed sewing with both. I think that in the coming months I would like to sew with more wovens. I have some rayon in my stash that I would love to use up, so I look forward to that. Do you prefer Big Four or indie patterns? So absolutely, hands down, indie patterns. I find that there is like such a wealth of well-designed, well-drafted, well-written instructions available these days for a variety of sizes, and the support that's available. So just about every pattern company has a Facebook group where you can connect with other people making the same patterns as you, or on Instagram or on YouTube. And so you can reach out and see what these garments look like on other real people. And I like that. I like the community element. I do have a good stash of Big Four patterns and a couple that I really do want to try, but I find them intimidating. And I think it's just a matter of, like, I need to sit down and do some measurements in the prep work and learn how to fit. I think I have this perception that Big Four patterns are for people who really know how to sew, like for really professional or skilled or advanced seamstresses. And I do not consider myself to be an advanced seamstress, even an intermediate one. Like I still, when I answer those questions on tester applications, I always check beginner or advanced beginner, but then I have sewn and tested a number of patterns that then the pattern company has graded as intermediate. So I tend to underestimate my skills. But I don't know why. I think like pulling that paper pattern out of the envelope, it just feels like something that you've really made, like you really know what you're doing when you can do that. And so I admire those sewists that do use them. And I would like to get there, and maybe if you could push me on that would help me get there. Online or in-store shopping? Well, it's 2021, and I think that we can all agree that we have online shopped more than ever before. And the online fabric buying options are great here in Canada and around the world. But I still prefer shopping in store. Like, it's about the tactile, the touching it, the squishing it, the feeling it, stretching it, draping it. Like, that's really what I enjoy about fabric. And tonight, in fact, I told my husband I need to go buy white and black thread at Fabricland, but I'm also going to like fondle some fabrics for a while, just for some hashtag me time. So he was going to put the kids to bed, and I'm going to go to the fabric store, and then I'm going to get a coffee and sit in my car and read until I know for sure that those kids are asleep. What is your favorite sewing task? Well, I don't really like cutting, and I don't like tracing patterns. I don't like taping them together and tracing them. I think I really enjoy binding, putting bindings on garments. I find that to be really satisfying. I really enjoy the process of threading my machines and winding bobbins and like that. I really like. I don't mind pressing. I think that's quite fun. But I like a burrito roll. I think that's fun to do. I guess I just like the actual sewing, and then I really live for that feeling when you take that pile of fabric off the machine and you shake it out and you hold up the garment. You're like, wow, I made this. That's what I live for. Really like that. Then there's always a moment of trepidation before I put it on my body, and I think like, there's no way this is gonna fit me or look good. And then I put it on and I'm like, yeah, I like that. So I enjoy the whole process. Also the shopping. I like shopping a lot. What is your best advice for other sewers? So I have some controversial advice maybe, and that is to use the best equipment that you can afford. So I really started my crafting journey as an adult with knitting, and I have taught knitting classes at Stash here in Calgary, and it's the same advice I would give to knitters, which is, if this is your hobby, you should spend the money that you have, whatever your budget is, on all parts of the hobby to make sure that you enjoy it. And so I find sewers, and I do this too, tend to look for cheap fabric or good deals because we don't want to mess it up, right? And it is important to do a test garment and test a fit when you're trying a new pattern. But I also find that, like, while there is pressure in using the precious, the end result is so satisfying that it makes it worth it. And the whole experience should be enjoyable, right? So you've got a nice cup of tea or a glass of wine or gin and tonic or whatever it is you drink while you sew, and a nice, like a little nibble snack, like some M&Ms. Peanut M&Ms are my sewing snack. And something good to listen to in the background, like a favorite podcast or some YouTube videos, and you got everything in your sewing room out, and you can smell the fabric and the hot iron and the sound of the sewing machines and the feel of the fabric. Like, this is what I do with my time for me, so I want to really enjoy all of it, and sewing with really nice fabric adds to that experience for me. So I think there is a balance between using the cheap stuff to get confident and good at it, and using the good stuff. But I'll also tell you that as a beginner sewist, it's much easier to sew with good fabric, quality fabric and quality thread, and use good scissors and quality rotary blades, all of it. It's less frustrating. So yeah, maybe it's a bit controversial. I don't know. What do you think? Use the best materials that you can afford. So the best supplies, the best materials that you can afford. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you run out and you buy the $8,000 Baby Lock serger cover stitch machine and the Bernina and Pfaff sewing machines. Like, use what you have and what you can afford, but invest your time and invest your resources in your hobby if it is something you truly love to do. And so the bonus question was, how did you find out about Friday Sews? Well, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I saw that the Dahlia Sewciety was doing these Friday Sews videos, and then the algorithm recommended some other ones to me, and then I thought, okay, well, this seems like a fun thing to do and a good way to introduce myself to the sewing community. So I filmed a couple, and I am enjoying it. I don't know that I'll do it every week. Sometimes I don't have a lot to talk about. It feels like the week turns around real quickly, but yeah, that's how I found out about Friday Sews, and also how I found out about that Facebook group for sewing vloggers. So that's been a great resource. And I look forward to being able to ask some more questions about, appropriate equipment and how to do this a little bit better or for better results. So anyway, so this week As I mentioned, my serger's gone in for service, and I've been having some tension issues with the lower looper or the one of the needles, depending on which way it's set up. And you know how when you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, that's insanity. Well, yeah, I had been adjusting the tension on that looper and all the other tension dials over and over and over, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting the result I wanted until I realized that the tension dial, the disc wasn't opening and closing at all. So like it didn't matter what I turned, if I turned it to 9 or if I turned it to 0, like it was going to be the same. So once I figured that out, I emailed my sewing room and they said, yeah, just bring it in for a spot check and they should be able to fix it. So I feel like that will be a good, I think that's a good step, and then I'll feel more confident using the cover stitch, because I couldn't figure out why when I had the narrow cover stitch it looked awesome, but the wide cover stitch didn't. And then the serger, I couldn't figure out why my tension was off and it seemed to be wavering, and yeah, I think I figured it out. So quite excited to make that happen. I got a lot of stuff cut out this week. I cut out 2 more endless summer tees. I cut out most of that jumpsuit that I'm making, and I cut out a sweater, like a cross front or reversible cross back, depending, sweatshirt. It's not sweatshirt, like sweater from Made for Mermaids that I'm going to try making. And then I had ordered, bought a little bit of sound. I had ordered some stretch lace one day on Etsy. I think I was stress shopping, and I want to make one of those lace bralettes that were all the rage a couple years ago. And I think like for this cross back sweater, it's got quite a low back. If I put on a lace bralette, it'd be kind of fun. And I think it would just be something different to try. So I ordered some stretch lace off of Etsy, and I ordered whatever like was the cheapest. And so I got, I think, 5 yards of this white wide stretch lace. And I figured like it's really quite pretty. And I ordered it in white or ivory or whatever, so that I thought I could play with some dye. And I have enough, it wasn't expensive at all. I think it was like $2 a yard. I have enough to try a couple of them to see how they fit. And then I might dye some of them. My daughter's really big into tie-dye, so maybe the next time she's tie-dyeing, I'll try tie-dyeing the lace. It's synthetic, so it won't hold as well as the cotton t-shirts that we tie-dye, but it would be fun to experiment. And then they also threw in this really pretty piece of purple lavender, so I think I'll use this for the back of one of them once I get the fit sorted, and I think that'll be really pretty. So anyway, I'll let you know how that goes. Yeah, so I think this weekend is tomorrow. Saturday is my daughter's birthday, and so I don't have any sewing planned this weekend, but next week I'm hoping to get a good start on that jumpsuit, hoping my serger tensions will be not spot on, and I'll be able to finish the edges of those pieces quite quickly and get that going, because it has been beautiful here. And so I am ready to bust out that jumpsuit on the playground and the walk to school and in line at the Starbucks, and maybe I'll even make myself a mask to match. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you again soon.